Alright, so what have we learned after a night of sleeping on it? Remember, never do anything rash on the first impulse. Document it, but really don't do anything until the next day, until you can sleep on it. Because I found some mistakes and I corrected them this morning, and I'm even more flabbergasted now than I was before. So, if you mirror the diamond like this, you end up getting 2, 3, 4, 23.4 degrees. The top, the one would be, everything would be sideways, but if you left the one as it is over here and it went up like this, it would be literally like an axle, like a negative sign again. Like the negative voltage part goes to the axle, which is connected to the 3 or 5 concentric rings of magnets, 42 on the outside, 8 on the inside, either on your faces or your vertices, depending on the size, the scale, and the diameter of the copper that you use for your 219 volt service, 80 amp service, and your 117 volt 60 amp service. Sorry, 96 of them and 72 of the other one. So there, 8 hops away makes a feedback loop, 6 hop away connects to the previously created feedback loop on the reverse stairway to heaven. Okay, the light side and the dark side. The dark side's where the energy is, guy. In like volts probably, because when it's sideways you see a big V. That's what the K is. It's an underlined V. It's an underlined V showing you that it's a V and that you should look at it like that because it's underlined. That's the proper way to look at it, as a V. The V. The Y. Wow. So yeah, I want to make one. Contact me if you want to help make one. Again, I'd like to probably 3D print the whole thing. Like basically 3D, like basically you're probably going to be making your own constructs at this point, but have them all fused together in a perfect, whatever, XYZ squareness. It's like building brand new constructs and assembling it, okay? Where when you have your inside wheels all cast or whatever, you can have them replaced with steel ones, and you magnetize magnets to it and put it there. And when you have all the solenoids go in on all the wheels all at the same time, using some kind of like piston, stepper motor, circuitry that a 12-year-old could fabricate, you can push all the pistons in, turn the whole thing on, away you go. Okay, think of the black cube at Mecca. Okay, whatever. People walk around that in a circle. There's a continuous flow of people walking around that black hole cube. Okay, the volume of the cube of Mecca is what is it? 3,875 millimeters cubed. And the sphere inside that, which is the black hole as a singularity blown up, would be 2,029 millimeters cubed. In a cellular energy scale where a 1 is equal to 60 millimeters. Now, whatever. The pictures I've drawn on that whiteboard with the numbers and the different points of view of looking at them, I see them in every single movie. I hear them in the movies. You see the patterns in the in the sets, whatever that would be, the art direction. That's why the Oscar goes to the art director, the lighting specialist, because you can probably make numbers out of shadows and have different lighting depict different forms of creation, or different ways of depicting a 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, or 3 and 3. It's all creation code, guy. All of it. Okay? So the signs and symbols are out there for us to see, to extrapolate this theorem. Now, it's a theorem now. I proved it. This isn't just an idea I have about a cellular energy device. It is actually mathematically kind of proven with some kind of thing that I did at the same time. I find that very interesting. Armageddon consciousness is just thinking at a higher level of being. It's being illuminated, okay? Literally. Nothing changes, literally, except the way you view everything. So, pretty much everything changes, but nothing really changes until enough people change. Then I think positive change will be triggered. Give or take 7 years, guy. So like 3.5. I don't know. Are we making a V? And that's maybe where the 369 code comes from. 379, sorry. The 379 code, okay? So 2012 was supposed to be the whatever. But they didn't factor in, I'm guessing, the 7 and the 3. Maybe the whole thing. So just think of a 1 by 9 now. Because once you create heaven, once you understand heaven and create heaven, once you create that 1 by 9, everything changes. And you see the numbers now. That 1 by 9 could be started with a 3. Okay? Ends with a 7. $369. Anyway, 1 of 7 of 13 of 110 of 2143. All very interesting stuff. So again, remember, every time you create a new column, you're creating a new 1 by whatever. You're creating a 1 by 2, a 1 by 3, a 1 by 4, a 1 by 5, 1 by 6, 1 by 7, 1 by 8, 1 by 9. If you're creating a 1 by 9, you're creating a 1 by 9 somewhere else in the model. Eventually, when you create all of your 1 by 2s to 1 by 9s on the cell, I believe all the numbers will eventually reduce to singularities or 69s. Okay? And you see things at a much higher level or dimension of seeing math. Okay? So, okay, like, wow, I can't even believe the voltages are showing up. I can't believe, watts showed up. I can't believe half the stuff that's happened. It's almost like made up. But think about it. You have a lot of voltage, you have no current. You have to put the positive and negative leads somewhere. Why not put it in the stationary rings of heaven and the rotating or alternating wheels? Where do you pull it from? You pull it from the wire that you make the solenoid with. Maybe I'm going off on a limb to think you can get 12. Maybe you can only get 3. I don't know. So, here's the thing. Maybe you'll only get you only get 3 leads if you only use the 1 wheel. But if you use 3 wheels, you'll be able to get 96. So what would you rather do? I think the most you can get is 96 because you can't get a 13th wire in there because then you run out of 3-pole phases. There's not enough room in a 36 ring configuration. So literally 96 117 volt circuits at 60 amps, hopefully, would be without a breaker or concept of a breaker, other than maybe the potential resistance of the copper wire windings and the wheel rotating. Maybe there'll be some kind of strong resistance. The more energy is pulled, that it'll slow the wheel or stop the wheel. Maybe, I don't know. That's a lot of kinetic energy. Once you have a lot of kinetic energy build up with none of that or very little of that being resistance or friction, your potential energy is always equal to your kinetic energy plus your friction. If you have very little friction and a lot of kinetic energy, it's going to take a lot of resistance to slow that down and kill your potential. So, your off switch and your on switch is basically an actuator that's like multiple like little motors that do that will be connected to the wheel, that'll be connected to the next wheel, and when it pushes and pulls it in and out of the fixed rotating wheels. So you could literally take them all out and slow it down and just collapse the galaxy that you're using, their black hole, I guess, or what kind of blast. So probably nothing will happen. So it's all about an on and off switch where your wires go, your positive and your negatives, and how you pull it. And it's really convenient and handy that the gauge of wire that you use on the machine, solenoids, is the exact same gauge and thickness as required for, let's say, powering your house in series. Every plug, every appliance, everything that's in your house connected in series to a circuit. Now maybe you can power more than your house, and you can go from series from your house to the neighbor's house, and then maybe you can push your luck and see how far you can go. Or maybe you won't be able to, who knows, right? 96 directions of infinite energy would be kind of cool. How do you make it? I don't want it wireless, really. It seems kind of... Imagine you had a blender on in the cupboard and it was on the on position, but it was not plugged in, and then all of a sudden it turns on in the cabinet. So, I don't know. Spitballing. But, I'm a philosopher, I'm a mathematician, I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, I'm a physicist, if I said that. I'm a father, husband in memory. Oh, animal owner, putter-upper of random nonsense from a dog and a cat. Pretty normal, but anyway, yeah, 3D printers aren't that expensive. CNC machining, I gotta basically get off my ass or meet the right people that know how to do this. So if you know how to use software to build things for CNC machines, or if you know how to use 3D printing software and are able to assist in this endeavor, instead of making little Rick and Morty action figures out of your 3D printer, how about you start to, like, do something useful? Yeah, I think I watched that show. That show has a very neat parallel to my life. So, anyway, it doesn't get crazier than that. So, like, literally, guy, let's do this. Let's literally give it a shot. I think we have all the signs and symbols needed to say that the angle of the magnet off center on the axle connected to one wheel or multiple wheels, which I'd like to do multiple wheels, maybe a single wheel, but just make 3 come out instead to prove the point. That could happen, maybe. Maybe. No, it can't, because it won't be a square. You need a square. A cube, I mean, sorry. 3 and 5. 3 and 5. See, it's just evolution of thought, okay? It doesn't get easier. It usually gets harder, but, yeah, I got parts list. I can draw the circuit diagram. I can, like, it's all dependent on this voltage thing, if it actually works, which from what I've seen, it doesn't do much. Like, if you put 2 in series, the LED bulb gets a lot brighter, so that means there's extra juice coming in, okay? Maybe you're adding them in series. So, like, how many of those can you add in series? And you're making the antenna. I don't think you can just have them on the table all scattered. I think you have to actually make it in that snowflake configuration, because if you're creating, like, a wireless energy from, like, a quote-unquote black hole, maybe you need some kind of antenna to receive it. So that's why I keep thinking of 2001: A Space Odyssey, okay? It's a circled plus connected to a circled plus with something in the middle. Now that something in the middle can fan off. That's just the x and negative x. You can do the y and negative y. You can do the z and negative z, and then you can do the corners. And once that's all done, and you have your 4 shooting off from, like, you have your north and south opposed everywhere in symmetry, and you'll be getting kind of like a balance between north and south duality, 3 volts across everything. And if you connect all those in series in that snowflake pattern, maybe that's what's necessary to get your magical voltage that'll do the jump. Okay. So remember on my whiteboard, when the Fibonacci line gets created, you finally get your 1x3s, and your 1x3s make like a 3x3 grid, which could be taken as an 88, but it's not, because if you look, there's no connection in the middle in the second column. It makes an 80, not an 88. A circled 80 is an 81, which then created the 9x9 81 cell grid, where you finally create your first 88. So if a singularity is a 0, is a 1, is an 8, and a 9x9, a 3x3 grid of dots creates not an 88 but an 80, and 9 by 9 grid of dots will finally create your 88. It gives you a concept of the endian plus